Before I get into the general discussion that Senator Toomey and Senator Johnson had a moment ago, something's been conspicuously absent from the discussion of raising revenues, and that'd be the qualified tax deduction for small businesses that was put in place in 2017, that in effect took small business rates from 40% down to 39.6 to 29.6. Is that something you believe, even though it's due to sunset in 2025, should remain there? Or do you believe when that was differentiated in the ordinary rate between individuals and small business income, that ought to be something that stays in place? I'd love to hear your answer and be on record of where you would like to go there.
Yes, Senator Brown, not surprisingly, I'll point out that there are a lot of things we did not speak to with TCJA, with expirations in 2025. We believe we have between now and then to deal with some of those expiring provisions. That is one of them, so I'm not going to get ahead of where we might.
Do you have an opinion on that in terms of has it been beneficial in terms of driving the economy pre-COVID?
One, I think we need to see where Congress ends up with the tax proposals we have to date to see where we end up for a 2025 budget. I'm not going to get ahead of that.
So as a Main Street entrepreneur, I'll tell you, and been doing it 37 years prior to becoming a senator, that was clearly the biggest driver when you look at corporate income taxes going from 35 to 21. I believe that that particular tax adjustment was behind why we were creating record revenues pre-COVID. Keep that in mind. When it comes to this discussion of having any chance to pay for the additional spending, which correctly was pointed out, averages about 20% of our GDP, now 24. Even with all of the tax increases proposed, you still will be adding to the structural deficit. Implicit in all of this, and I think to be honest with the American public, is that we choose to borrow this from our kids and our grandkids. Do you think that is healthy public policy to spend in that fashion when we're really asking future generations to pay for it? Because since I've been here, anything that's done defers something to 6 to 10 years down the road, spends like crazy in the present. We do not do offsets, which means we're willing to borrow from our kids and grandkids. Do you buy that as good policy long term?
Senator Brown, I buy that there are puts and takes in every decision in life, and we better do something about our infrastructure, our education, our systemic unfairness in the tax system, or we do risk future generations being worse off.
So I'll take that as a declaration that you are willing to borrow from future generations on end to get these policy proposals across. I'd point out that that doesn't work anywhere else. In any state government, it doesn't work in any entity that's got the rigor of competition in the private sector, and it's a very poor example of what we do at a place that so many people look to, so many businesses do. And I think it sets us up as a bad business partner for any of the good policy that we choose to pursue, whether it's infrastructure, education, any of the things that people look to the federal government maybe to do more of. This ends up with a series of crises down the road, maybe starting with completely depleting the Medicare trust fund here in a little over 5 years. Social Security, the other driver of our structural deficits along with Medicaid, all might be good policy that we've kind of woven into our fabric. That's all at risk as well. So I think that as long as we're on this pathway, we need to be honest about it and to also acknowledge that we were at the sweet spot of maybe what government should do pre-COVID, based upon especially that incentive built into making the productive economy healthy with that qualified income tax deduction for small businesses. I don't think you can paint this in any other way other than it ends up with a calamity. And even though it feels good in the short run that we're spending money on so many things all of us are interested in, but it's derelict to the American public to do it when we're borrowing every penny of it. Because let's face it, raising taxes, that's not near as certain as spending the money at the tune of creating these $1 to $1.5 trillion $1.5 trillion deficits and the debt that it adds in the future. I think that's part of what journey you're on.
Thank you, Senator. I see we're out of time, but I'll just point out that we absolutely agree. You should pay for your proposals, and that's what we do here, and I get there are disagreements, but we have put forward a set of proposals that would pay for the spending.
Thank you.